Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope you guys having a good day or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name's Marlon. This is episode 58 of Mushroom City in Minecraft. Right now, well, let me tell you something about what are we going to do today. Okay, so of course we're going to do Minecraft and we're going to do the weather. But as for the green screen part, I'm actually going to reserve that either for tomorrow or for Saturday. Because I just got home from work and I did not have enough time to set up the green screen. So I deeply apologize for that, folks, if you guys were hoping that I do something behind the green screen. But also, I'm thinking about the weather topic of the day, which is going to happen at the end of the stream, which will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The whole stream lasts for 2 hours. The first hour is the weather, then Minecraft at the second hour. And that's how I usually do things. But right now, as you can see at the top bar, it is currently 77 degrees with clear skies. For tomorrow, well, for today, we had I would say mostly clear skies with a high of 79 and a low of 64. Tomorrow there will be mostly cloudy skies with a high of 81 and a low of 64. For this weekend, it'll be clear with temperatures in the low to mid 80s for the high, and for the low, it'll be in the upper 60s to low 70s. For Monday, it'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 91 and a low of 75. And for Tuesday, it'll be I would say showers with a high of 93 and a low of 77. And on Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 95 and a low of 79. But right now, this is just what's shown, folks. But I would rather show you guys what I would predict based on what I would observe and analyze, rather than what's being said at the top. I mean, this is all just me showing you guys what the weather would be like in the next few days and trying to compare and contrast the forecast predicted by Weather Widget versus mine. So you guys will see right now. Just let me mute the mic for just a few minutes. Hold on. Okay. Now, I just need to write something down. Just give me a minute, folks. Okay, now back to business. Okay, so now let's discuss the active weather alerts that are in effect throughout the continental United States, contiguous United States. So what do we have here? We have 8 severe thunderstorm warnings. They're located in Vermont, Montana, Louisiana, and Canada. Mostly in Canada, but like I said, contiguous United States. 3 flash flood warnings. There's one in Georgia, and the 2 others are just rainfall warnings issued by Canada. 3 special marine warnings in Florida, Louisiana. 11 special weather statements in Vermont, Colorado, Louisiana, Idaho, Florida, Michigan, Louisiana, and Texas. 21 extreme heat warnings, 8 dense fog advisories, and 6 air quality alerts. 38 flood warnings and 37 red flag warnings. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what we got in the northeast. So, here we are. Let's start off, didn't mean to do that. Let's see what we have. Okay, so where's the wet weather activity? It's located throughout places like northern New England, the Hudson Valley, going up from, I would say, midway between the New York City area and Albany. Could be right around Kingston, New York, is what I would estimate. But that's just the way I travel to the Catskills and the Hudson Valley. Regardless, there's plenty of wet weather from the Catskills all the way to Vermont, all the way to the Adirondacks, through Vermont, New Hampshire, but throughout Maine and southern New England, just mostly clear skies, folks. But there is one special weather statement just west of Montpelier, just west of the capital of Vermont, and also right between there and Burlington. Thunderstorms are there going all the way past through the Delaware River into northeastern Pennsylvania. A few drops of rain and some clouds just popping up throughout eastern Pennsylvania. In the greater New York City area, you're not seeing much going on, so forget about that, except for the Catskills and just a little upwards in the Hudson Valley. And we go down along the I-95 corridor. Well, the rest of Pennsylvania, there's no action there. And just a little bit of pop-up showers, maybe a few drops of rain and thunderstorms in the center of West Virginia. Then you're seeing just a few spotty clouds, maybe a few thunderstorms in places like central, south, or east central Virginia, and south central Virginia too. And there's also a few clouds and showers passing through the Baltimore, Washington area, and Annapolis area. The Delmarva Peninsula looking like it's nothing much going on, maybe a few showers and clouds, but it's only just locally, but it's nothing much that I would consider as a severe weather event for the most part. And we go down the I-95 corridor and into the southeast, where there are some flood warnings near Smithfield, and just a few more flood warnings surrounding Columbia, South Carolina, and into just nearby Augusta, Georgia. And just east of Greenwood, South Carolina. As you can see, just a few clouds and showers throughout the busiest parts of North Carolina, from Charlotte all the way to Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro. And there are some thunderstorms in places like Wilmington, North Carolina, all the way to Myrtle Beach. Nothing much going on right now in the southern part of the Palmetto State. Georgia, you're seeing thunderstorms right now in the north side of the state, with some clouds and showers approaching the northern suburbs of Atlanta. There's a flash flood warning that's been issued just north of Dahlonega. Flood warnings have been issued throughout parts of Georgia, from south of Athens all the way to north of Dublin, Macon, and, well, just a few passing showers, just a few pop-up clouds and showers near Tifton and Valdosta. And where else? Well, we do have plenty of thunderstorms all across the Volunteer State, from Nashville all the way to Murfreesboro. But Memphis, for the most part, mostly clear, but anywhere east of that, you're not. And as you can see, just near Johnson City, all the way to Chattanooga, well, you do have some places with thunderstorms, but they're mostly either pop-up thunderstorms or just moving along down south. Then we got thunderstorms passing through Alabama on the northern half of the state, plus another batch of thunderstorms in the southwestern part of the state, especially Mobile, Alabama, going into the far western panhandle of Florida and Pensacola, southeastern part of Mississippi as well, and even more pop-up thunderstorms, so rolling across through the northern part of the state, but not in a widespread fashion, threatening Tupelo, Columbus. We go down to Florida. There's a lot of thunderstorms, folks, all across the Sunshine State. Anywhere east of Apalachicola, plenty of thunderstorms, especially near Key West. But Jacksonville, just a few clouds are there, but leaving the city to the southwest, it's not going to be a pleasant ride. Anywhere just south of Lake City, going all the way to Miami. You guys traveling all across I-75, it is not going to be a pleasant ride there. A drive, it's going to be a living nightmare, folks, if you do drive along I-75 from Lake City all the way through Gainesville, Ocala, Tampa, Sarasota, Marco Island. Well, not Marco Island. Naples, Fort Myers, across through the Everglades and into Fort Lauderdale and the Miami metro area, going all the way to Homestead, especially going down to Key West. It's not going to be a pleasant ride there. A special marine warning has been issued, located just southwest of Key West. And what about Arkansas, Louisiana? There are a few clouds and showers in the northeastern corner of the state, but elsewhere in Arkansas it's quite clear. Thunderstorms are dominating throughout the southern half of Louisiana, though there are severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued just on the north side of Lake Pontchartrain, and as well as special weather statements. A special marine warning has been issued all over Lake Pontchartrain and also Lake Maurepas. Oh yeah, let's not forget about just south of Lafayette, just off the coast. Well, not really off the coast, but on shore. Choppy waters as a result of thunderstorms. But folks living in Hammond all the way to west of Slidell, you better be on the safe side. Do not go outside. Stay in your car if you're outside. Or stay indoors. And do not get near a tree, because that is one of the most unsafest places out there. Let's go to the Lone Star States. You can see, well, most of the Lone Star States quite clear, but along the coast, pop-up thunderstorms are present there, with the special weather statement located near Livingston, Texas, just on the east side. Woodville, Chester, and Colmsneil. Thunderstorms are there. Could be with some small hail damaging winds there. But on the northwestern corner of the panhandle of Texas, especially the far western part of the panhandle of Oklahoma, there are pop-up thunderstorms passing through to the east, especially Boise City. Now we go to the Ohio Valley, where plenty of few isolated to scattered thunderstorms throughout places like Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio on the south side of each state. But as you can see, air quality alerts have been issued throughout places like Cleveland, Chicago, all the way up until East Green Bay. But what about Michigan? Well, Michigan, they're in the clear for the most part. As a result, you're not... Well, actually, it's caused by not enough smoke that's in the vicinity, but the danger is not ruled out. Okay. Hold on a minute, folks. Let me mute the mic. Alright, I'm back. There's a special weather statement on the northeastern corner of the lower peninsula of Michigan. And this can lead to some damaging winds there. Oh, hold on a minute. But down along the lake shores of Lake Huron, plenty of thunderstorms, but just mostly north of Detroit. Eastern half of the upper peninsula of Michigan, there are thunderstorms, especially near Sault Ste. Marie, but it's on Canada's side, though. Now, of course, so despite like this that's going on in the Northeast, there are areas of high pressure just located off of Maine and in northern Maine, especially in the western part of Virginia. There's a stationary front located throughout the eastern half of the Gulf Coast, going into the southeast coast, off the shore, and then out to sea. It could be as a result of which could lead to some tropical development, but we'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes from now. Right now, let's just focus on finishing up the Midwest, where 2 severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued in North Dakota. Flood warnings have been issued in Fargo, east side of South Dakota, southeastern Iowa. And there are dense fog advisories from Pierre all the way to North Platte, going into Kansas on the northwestern side. That's because you do have the dry bulb temperature, meaning the regular temperature, and the dew point being too close together. And what happens is that it tends to lead to fog. Plus, you couple with moisture, then you end up with fog at the surface. But right now, you guys are seeing some clouds and showers throughout parts of the Great Plains, but on the western side, like southwest South Dakota and western Nebraska, there are a few places with thunderstorms. It could be strong, especially this one thunderstorm, but that has started to dissipate as it crossed into Kansas. But there is a pop-up thunderstorm located in places like near St. Francis. It's blown up. The St. Louis area, there are some showers and maybe rumbles of thunder moving into the St. Louis metro area. By the way, there is a cold front that's located in northern Minnesota with a stationary front attached to it going into Montana. Areas of high pressure are all over the southwest, but however, areas where there are some pop-up thunderstorms, the southwest do beg to differ on that. Extreme heat warnings are in effect in the southern half of the Grand Canyon state, plus the west central part of the state too. Oh, and let's not forget about the Grand Canyon, parts of the Grand Canyon, and there is a red flag warning just located in the north central part of Arizona. But that's not stopping thunderstorms from popping up throughout much of the state. Anywhere on the east and north sides of the state, plus New Mexico. On the north side, northern 2/3 of the state, they're popping up, and yet the one in Santa Fe, they're moving to the east. Though there is an area of high pressure located near Roswell. Red flag warnings all over Utah, eastern Nevada. An extreme heat warning is in effect in parts of Clark County, but just located east of Las Vegas. But regardless, folks in Las Vegas do need to stay indoors and avoid staying out for too long because of the heat. But of course, folks in Arizona definitely need to, cool off and stay away from, from strenuous activities. Meaning, please do not exert yourself and try to, stress yourself out to a point where you end up with heat strokes or heat-related illnesses. Because at the end of the day, heat just tends to be the worst killer of all. Or one of the worst killers of all. But regardless, stay safe out there. For those out west. Red flag warnings mean that not enough moisture to go around, despite the fact that there are some thunderstorms and showers throughout the central and western parts of Colorado as they move to the east. It just means that there hasn't been much rain throughout the past couple of days, which means dead vegetation, low humidity, even with all this rain. And yet there could be some strong winds that could be in the mix. So any knucklehead goes out into the woods, starts smoking, start putting it out, would be the worst idiot of all. By just doing it in the forest. Do you do it responsibly? Just don't smoke. Here are the rules for smoking in the forest during red flag warnings. Number 2, put it out responsibly. And the number 1 rule, never smoke to begin with. Just putting it out there, folks. Don't mean to hurt no feelings, but that's just the way that natural rules work. Not by man or woman, but by nature. Alright, enough of that. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning throughout, just located east of Lewiston. And we see some thunderstorms rolling across through much of Montana and then the northern 2/3 of Idaho. Moving to the northeast right now, but on the southern third of Idaho, it's quite dry. There are red flag warnings there, much of Wyoming. Red flag warnings as well, with stationary fronts snaking through the northern Rockies from the northern part of Wyoming through southwestern Montana, especially through Idaho, Oregon, and California, northern California. Speaking of California, we have air quality alerts just located outside of LA. That's fun, right? Not. I mean, that place has always been polluted, but I don't know why I just said all that. But fact of the matter is, folks, is that it tends to get really hot, and you have a lot of air pollutants out there, which can contribute to unhealthy, very bad air qualities in the many localized parts of the city and the surrounding areas. Right, extreme heat warnings have been issued throughout the southeastern corner of California, and there are 2 red flag warnings in the southwest corner of Oregon, near Medford. But on the northeastern corner of Oregon, especially on the eastern half of Washington State, you're seeing showers and storms moving to the northeast right now. Now let's move on to right here. There we go. Okay, let's make this quick. So what do we have? Okay, so the interior parts of the northern parts of New England and the interior parts, winds are somewhat light and variable, but in the southern and coastal parts of New England, winds are pushing inland, yet some parts winds are blowing up to 25 miles an hour, yet moving generally to the north. In upstate New York, you have winds in the Hudson Valley they are somewhat light and variable, but the rest of upstate New York, winds moving to the north at up to 20. Then in the Catskills, all the way down to the greater New York City area, you have winds coming from the southeast, blowing up to 20 miles an hour. Long Island and the Jersey Shore, winds are moving to the west at up to 20 to 25 miles an hour. Maybe a little light on the east end. Pennsylvania, winds are coming from the southeast, shifting to the north at up to 20 miles an hour. Delmarva Peninsula, some parts of the Delmarva Peninsula, you have winds blowing up to 25 miles an hour coming from the east. In the western part of the Susquehanna River and the Chesapeake Bay area, winds are coming from the east, blowing up to 20 miles an hour. But in West Virginia, you have winds moving to the northwest at up to 15 miles an hour. Temperatures in New England, they are in the 70s to low 80s. Upstate New York, temperatures are in the mid 70s to mid 80s. Greater New York City area, temperatures are in the mid 70s to low 80s. Pennsylvania, they are in the upper 70s to low 80s. The Mid-Atlantic, consisting of D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware, temperatures are in the mid 70s to low 80s. West Virginia, temperatures are in the 70s to mid 80s. Winds are very light and variable throughout much of Tennessee. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, winds are coming from the northeast, blowing up to 20 miles per hour. But in the Outer Banks, winds blowing around between 20 to 30 miles an hour to the southwest, especially on the coast, but on the coastal side south of the Outer Banks, just blowing up to 25 miles an hour. Alabama, Mississippi, much of the states, their winds moving to the west at up to 15 miles an hour. But on the south side, some sea breeze, but they're only blowing up to 10 miles an hour, maybe up to 15 some places. In the Carolinas, the temperatures are in the 70s. Tennessee, temperatures are in the mid 80s to low 90s. Georgia, upper 70s to mid 80s. Alabama, Mississippi, temperatures are in the 80s to mid 90s. Hold on a minute. All right. So sorry about that. Yeah, like I said, Alabama, Mississippi, temperatures are in the 80s to mid 90s. Let's go to Louisiana, Arkansas. Arkansas, you have winds coming from the east, shifting to the north, with winds up to 20 miles an hour, but on the northwestern corner, up to 25 miles an hour. Louisiana, winds are somewhat light and variable for the most part. Temperatures in Arkansas and Louisiana, they are in the upper 80s to mid 90s. Going down to the Sunshine State, where in the Panhandle of Florida, you have winds, the Panhandle and Jacksonville. Winds are coming from the northeast, shifting to the west at up to 15 miles an hour. Key West, winds are coming from the east northeast at up to 20 miles an hour. In the southern the peninsula part of Florida, winds are coming from the east at up to 20 miles an hour, but then shifting to the south once it leaves offshore on the west coast of Florida. Temperatures all across the Sunshine State, they are in the 80s. Then we go to Oklahoma and Texas. The eastern part of Texas, winds are light and variable unless if you're along the coast, like Galveston, Texas, all the way down to Corpus Christi and towards Brownsville, where winds are picking up around the 15 to 25 miles per hour, maybe a little higher near Corpus Christi or points south. Along the coast, though, blowing onshore, but throughout the rest of Texas, winds are moving to the north, at up to 20 to 30 miles per hour, particularly on the west side, but the western tip of Texas, winds are shifting to the west at up to 25 miles per hour. Oklahoma, winds are moving to the north at up to 20 to 30 miles per hour, but on the panhandle side, winds, both panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, winds are shifting to the northeast, blowing up to 20 to 30 miles an hour in many places. Oklahoma temperatures are in the mid 90s to low hundreds. Similar story in the panhandle of Texas, western Texas. Temperatures are in the 90s to low hundreds. Eastern and northeastern Texas temperatures are in the 90s, and going down to southern Texas, they are in the upper 80s to low hundreds. Then we go to the Ohio Valley, where much of the Ohio Valley winds are light and variable, but in Illinois, winds are moving to the north at up to 20 miles an hour. Northern Indiana and northern Ohio, winds are moving to the north at up to 10 miles an hour. Temperatures in Kentucky, they are in the 80s. Ohio, mid 70s to low 80s. Indiana, 80s. Illinois, 80s to low 90s. Then we go to Michigan and Wisconsin. As you can see, we do have winds. Throughout much of the region, you have winds generally blowing to the north. But in some places, they're getting some sea breeze going, but not in an extreme fashion. But in Lake Huron, the coastal side, they have somewhat strong lakeshore winds. Especially on the west side of lower Michigan and eastern Wisconsin too. The temperatures in the lower Michigan, they are in the low 80s to low 90s. Upper Peninsula, mid 70s to low 80s. Wisconsin, upper 70s to mid 80s. Minnesota and the Dakotas, as you can see, well, Minnesota, for the most part, they get winds coming from the south, blowing to the northeast, but throughout the southern half of the state, winds are blowing up to 25 miles an hour, a little lighter in the northern half. Much of the Dakotas, you have winds coming from the south-southeast, but they're blowing much of the state up to 20 to 30 miles an hour, shifting to the west in North Dakota, but on the western side of South Dakota, winds, some winds are light and variable, others coming from the west, blowing up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. But in a few areas in South Dakota, they are blowing past 30. Temperatures in Minnesota, they are in the 80s. North Dakota, the temperatures are in the low 70s to mid 80s. South Dakota, temperatures are in the mid 80s to mid 90s. Going down to the Missouri River Valley, you have Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas. Missouri and Iowa, and especially throughout much of Kansas and Nebraska, winds are generally blowing to the north. Throughout many places, they're blowing up to 20 to 30 miles an hour in some places, especially Kansas City, Wichita, Valentine. But on the western side of Nebraska, winds are coming from the west, shifting to the north at up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. Western side of Kansas, winds are somewhat light and variable though, but some winds may be coming from the west, but just only blowing up to 5 miles an hour. Temperatures in Iowa and Nebraska, well, Iowa temperatures are in the 80s, Nebraska mid 80s to upper 90s, Missouri mid 80s to mid 90s, Kansas 90s. Let's go to the Northern Rockies, what we have here. Winds in Idaho and the western half of Montana, especially throughout much of Wyoming. Winds are generally blowing to the east. In the southern third of Idaho, in the southeastern part of Idaho, Winds are blowing at around 30 to up to 40 miles an hour in some places, and up to 35 miles an hour throughout the southern half of Wyoming. The northeastern part of Wyoming, winds are coming from the north at up to 10 miles an hour. Eastern half of Montana, winds are coming from the east, shifting to the south, blowing up to 20 miles an hour. Temperatures in Montana, they actually range from 61 in Kalispell to 86 in 88 in Miles City. In northern Idaho, you have temperatures that are in the 60s to the upper 70s. Southern half, temperatures are in the 80s. Wyoming, temperatures range from the mid 80s to mid 90s, going down to Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. You have winds blowing to the east throughout much of the state, blowing up to 20 to 30 miles an hour throughout much of the state. Utah, winds are coming from the southwest, blowing up to 20 to 30 miles per hour throughout much of the state, but in a few places like west of Richfield, blowing up to 35 miles per hour. In Nevada, on the south side, winds are coming from the southwest, blowing up to 25 miles per hour. Northern half, winds are blowing to the east at up to 25 miles per hour. But on the west central part of the state, winds are somewhat light and variable for the most part. Temperatures in Colorado, they are in the upper 80s to low hundreds. Utah, temperatures range from 84 in Logan to 106 in St. George. Nevada, on the northern part of the state, when temperatures are in the 80s. Southern tip, temperatures are in the 90s to mid hundreds. New Mexico, northern half, winds are blowing generally to the east, blowing up to 25 miles per hour in some places. Southern half, winds are moving to the north, generally to the north, but then shifting to the northeast. Arizona, much of the state, well, you have on the northern half of the state, winds are blowing to the northeast at up to 25 to 30 miles an hour, maybe 35. Southern half, winds are actually coming from the southwest or west, in the southwestern corner, I should say. Southeastern corner, winds are coming from the east, shifting to the north and then back to the east. Northeast. Temperatures in the northern part of the state ranged from 82 in Alpine to 102 in Kingman. Southern half, temperatures are in the 110s. It's very hot there, folks. For those of you who live there, stay cool, my friends. Stay cool. In California, you have winds offshore blowing parallel down the coast at around up to 40 miles an hour. Winds that are blowing onshore on the beaches from the Oregon border all the way to Santa Barbara. Winds are blowing up to 40 miles an hour in some places. South of Santa Barbara down the coast, winds blowing up to 20 miles an hour. Winds that do blow onshore, they're blowing through the Sierra Nevadas in the northern half of the state, southern half blowing through the Mojave Desert and the Death Valley. Yet, in the Sierra Nevadas, they're blowing up to 20 miles an hour. Outside of LA, some places blowing up to 25. So we got 113 in Indio, 80 in San Diego, 100 in LA. Temperatures are in the 80s in the San Francisco Bay Area, 64 in Eureka. The Central Valley, California, range from the mid-90s to low hundreds. From Redding all the way to Bakersfield. Now in the Pacific Northwest, winds are generally blowing to the east, but on the leeward side of the Cascades on both states, much of that part of the region, the The winds are blowing up to 25 to 30 miles an hour. On the beaches in Oregon, on the beaches of Oregon, they're blowing up to 30 miles an hour to the south, but up the coast in Washington State, they're blowing to the east. In Oregon, temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s. Washington State, temperatures are in the mid 60s to mid 70s, low 60s to mid 70s. Let's talk about gusts. There's some strong gusts of up to 30 miles an hour from Connecticut all the way down to the Carolinas and the Outer Banks, but the Outer Banks gusts are up to 40 miles an hour, maybe a little higher though. Western Pennsylvania up to 30 miles an hour. Chicago and Milwaukee up to 30 miles an hour in gusts, especially in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and southern throughout much of the Great Plains region, up to 40 miles an hour in some places. In the interior parts of the West, like the Great Basin, the Rockies, Bitterroot Mountains, winds vary by location, blowing up to 60 miles an hour, maybe a little higher though in terms of gusts. And in Northern California and Southern Oregon, along the coast though, gusts are up to 40 to 50 miles an hour. Humidity. Plenty of humidity throughout places throughout the Hudson Valley, especially the Carolinas down towards Florida, in the peninsula part, the Dakotas, the upper Mississippi Valley, parts of Montana and Idaho. Rainfall accumulation, where's the worst of the rain. This is an estimate, folks, especially the gusts. Check with your local weather, your local reports, your local officials, your local National Weather Service office for actual recorded data of gusts and rainfall accumulation in real time, because they're the ones who provide more accurate measurements than just the estimates. This is all just estimate, folks. So there's going to be, in some places in the Outer Banks, North Carolina, rainfall estimates are up to 4 inches of rain. Florida, just up to a half an inch to an inch of rain in some places, especially south central Louisiana. The Dakotas, up to 2 to 3 inches of rain. Let's talk about upper level wind, upper level part of the atmosphere. Let me get a quick sip, folks. So what do we have here? We do have an upper level high located over the desert Southwest, Texas, Southern Plains, which means that there is a ridge located over Kansas, the Dakotas, upper Mississippi Valley. There's a trough over the Bitterroot Mountains in northern Idaho. There is a ridge just north of Maine, a flat trough off of Cape Cod. What does this mean? Well, folks, plenty of wet weather throughout the northern Rockies, and as well as the Hudson Bay area in Canada. Now going into 24 hours from now. Oh yeah, in some parts of the desert southwest are getting some showers going. 24 hours from now. Upper level low, located north of northeast Montana, which means there's going to be a trough just north of Montana. An upper level high that's getting weak over the desert southwest. It's going to be a ridge located over the Great Lakes region. A weak trough located over the Mid-Atlantic. And another trough just east of the Hudson Bay area in Canada. There could be some storms, severe storms in the Northern Rockies. No, not Northern Rockies, the Dakotas, I mean. Going down to the desert southwest near Las Vegas, not in Utah. And even just offshore, could be something brewing. Then we go to another 24 hours from now, which will be Saturday night, which means there will be a trough just north of North Dakota, a ridge just located over Lake Huron, a weak trough just off of Cape Cod on Long Island. What does this mean? There's going to be some severe weather throughout the northern plains, upper Mississippi Valley, and parts of the Great Lakes region to the northwest. Some pop-up storms could occur throughout the southeast. Finally, Sunday night, there's going to be a trough over the Dakotas going down to the to the Colorado Rockies. A ridge will occur throughout over Maine. And from what it looks like, there's going to be an upper level low just sitting over and off of Cape Cod and Long Island. What does this mean? It means there could be a wet weather system just offshore though. But let's just take a look at the tropics right now. This is what we got, folks. Hold on a minute. Alright, I'm back, folks. So, what are you guys looking at right now? Okay. You guys are looking at what's going on in the tropics as of 1:27 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The next update will be in a couple minutes, but this is what we got right now. Dexter is out of here. By Dexter, and maybe Dee Dee will take over next year. Definitely not though, because that's not on the. She's not on the list. Oh, I don't know if Mandark is going to take over, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like I said, I'll say hi to Mandark for you, Dexter, and Dee Dee too. But I promise you, Dexter, I won't let Dee Dee sleep with Mandark. Or will I? If you cause any trouble, then maybe I'll hook Mandark with Dee Dee. Anyway, for the next 2 to 7 days, so for the next 2 days, there's going to be a 10% chance of development. For the next 7 days, 20%. Located off the Carolina coast, going into off of Long Island and Cape Cod, and off of the Mid-Atlantic. As for the one coming from Africa, well, there is a 10% chance of development within the next 2 days, but 60% chance within 7 days. All of that's going to lead to the direction towards the northeast, but right now it is still way off, but time will tell. Now, I'm going to try to go further into this whole thing, so hold on a minute. Never mind. Okay, so any sign of development? So we start off in the next 3 days. So we're not seeing much going on right now. So in the next 4 days, not much going on. The winds aloft are too strong. By Tuesday night, winds are too strong. Same thing for Wednesday night, and finally Thursday night. Winds are also too strong. Let's try the European model. Let's assume that this is right now. Nothing much going on. No spin. Nothing much going on. Winds are too uniform. They're not, the wind barbs are not scattering around. The direction of the wind barbs are too uniform. They're way too organized, meaning that indicates some strong aloft winds by tomorrow night. Saturday night, not much. Winds are too strong in the upper part of the atmosphere. Sunday night, by Sunday night, the whole chances of becoming a tropical system have dwindled. Especially Monday night, it's gonna be gone. Tuesday night, maybe a little bit, just located off of the Carolinas, but I don't think that's going to be associated with the one that's offshore right now. I mean, there could be something. Just off of well, for Wednesday night, there could be something. And finally, by Thursday night, it looks a little too disorganized for that to be a tropical system. It's going to be a big ring maker just offshore of the Mid-Atlantic going up into the northeast. Yeah, this is the European model, folks. The GFS model would want that to be completely relinquished in terms of system. Potential tropical system that could form. But the European model has a little bit more confidence, but right now I'm just not seeing it, folks. Just not really seeing it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and switch the scene to here. Talk about the next 3 days. We're going to start off with talking about temperature. With temperatures, where the warm lows, Florida, the Mississippi Valley, Texas, the Great Plains, desert Southwest, California. Where are the chilly lows? Poconos and parts of the Catskills. Very chilly lows in the northern Rockies, leeward side of the Cascades. For tomorrow night, where are the hot spots? Heat waves located throughout the Mississippi Valley, the Great Plains, Texas, desert Southwest, California, Great Basin, and chilly highs, northern Rockies. Where are the warm lows? Florida, southern plains, lower Mississippi Valley, Texas, parts of the desert Southwest, Central Valley, California. Where are the chilly lows? Northern Rockies, parts of the Great Basin, Northern Rockies, Bitterroot Mountains, and even the Cascades too. Where are the heat waves? Lower Mississippi Valley, even the mid-Mississippi Valley, Texas, southern plains, desert Southwest, California, leeward side of the Cascades too. Now, what about where are the warm lows for Saturday morning? By Saturday morning, they're actually... Wait. Hold on a minute. Oh, wait. Hold on. No, by Sunday morning. This is... I thought I saw a bug, folks. Okay, this is for Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning. Okay. Where are the warm lows for Sunday morning in Florida, the eastern, the southern Texas? Oh, hold on. Eastern Texas, southern plains, mid to lower Mississippi Valley, parts of the Southwest, Central Valley, California, chilly lows located throughout the Rockies, parts of the Great Basin too. And finally, where the heat waves, they're located in the lower Mississippi Valley, Texas, southern plains, much of the West Coast, parts of the Great Basin, parts of the desert Southwest. Now, let's talk about humidity. What do we got for humidity? Anywhere east of the Rockies, with the exception of the parts of the western plains, there's plenty of humidity, especially in some parts of the California coast, and even a little bit in in southern Arizona. Tomorrow night, anywhere east of the Rockies, with the exception of the western plains and even some parts of the Northeast, there will be a lot of moisture. Plus, there will be some moisture throughout parts of the West Coast. Now, what about Saturday morning? By Saturday morning, plenty of moisture in eastern two-thirds of Texas, the eastern half of the Great Plains, upper Mississippi Valley, going all the way to the East Coast, with the exception of the interior parts of the Northeast and northern New England. Not as humid as the rest of the East Coast. There's going to be plenty of moisture throughout parts of the desert Southwest. Saturday night, it's going to be very humid throughout the Mississippi Valley, eastern Texas, eastern half of the Great Plains. It's going to be somewhat dry throughout the coastal parts of New England. Somewhat humid throughout parts of the desert Southwest, all the way to the Pacific Northwest on the coastal side. Sunday morning, there will be a lot of moisture throughout the south, throughout the Ohio Valley, Central Plains, Great Plains, Lakes region, and even some parts of the Northeast. There's going to be a lot of some moisture throughout parts of the desert Southwest, and even a little bit on the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest, though. And finally, hold on just a minute. Let me see if the chat's working. I would say... Oh, no. Never mind. There's nothing. Where's the moisture for Sunday night? There's going to be a lot of moisture throughout much of the South, with the exception of western Texas. Plenty of moisture throughout the Mississippi Valley, the Great Lakes region, and the Northeast, much of the Northeast. Moisture starts to build up throughout the coastal parts of the Pacific Northwest, and even a little bit of moisture still remaining throughout the desert Southwest. Let's talk about convection for tomorrow morning. Where's the strongest updraft in the atmosphere? It's going to be located in the northern plains, parts of the Gulf Coast, particularly on the Texas side. Some convection will be a thing throughout the rest of the central third of the country, plus the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes region, and even parts of Florida, too. The worst of the updraft, it is awful for folks in the mid to upper Mississippi Valley, the Great Plains, but plenty of convection throughout the Gulf Coast, the rest of the Great Lakes region, going into Illinois and parts of the Ohio Valley too, and even I see a little bit more convection in parts of the desert Southwest. For Saturday morning, where's the worst of the convection? The worst of the convection happens throughout parts of the Great Plains, upper Mississippi Valley, western side of the Gulf Coast, some parts of Florida, mostly in the southern part of Florida, and even parts of the desert Southwest. Saturday night, a lot of convection is going to occur throughout the center part of the state, which includes Oklahoma all the way to Illinois, Iowa, and parts of Wisconsin. And the Ohio Valley gets some convection going, South Florida, the western side of the the Gulf Coast, I mean. And I see there's a little bit in the parts of the desert Southwest, but it's not as dramatic as what will happen tomorrow. Sunday morning, where's the worst of the convection? In Missouri, Iowa, and Kansas, especially in the coastal part of Texas and parts of South Florida. But yet there will be some convection throughout the rest of the South, the Ohio Valley, and the rest of Texas. Now, for Sunday night, there's going to be a lot of convection all from places like the Ohio Valley going into Oklahoma, and even Iowa, Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, and some convection throughout places like Detroit to Buffalo, and parts of South Florida will get a little bit of convection, and the rest of the Gulf Coast. Now, let's talk about any chance of precipitation. So what do we have here? Well, I would say for tomorrow morning that there is going to be some clouds in some parts of the Northeast, a few showers though, and some showers and clouds, maybe a few storms in parts of the Southeast. Storms, they're going to be a thing in the northern plains, and as well as Montana, the northern Rockies. A few cloud showers and storms throughout parts of the Great Basin, the Wyoming, Colorado Rockies region. A few stray clouds and showers throughout parts of the West Coast. For tomorrow night, plenty of cloud showers and storms throughout much of the Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, a few stray clouds and showers throughout parts of New England, and as well as some parts of the desert Southwest, maybe a few storms here and there, all the way to the Colorado Rockies. But there is going to be some storms throughout the northern plains and eastern Montana, and even parts of the Great Lakes region, like near Lake Superior. For Saturday morning, there's going to be plenty of storms throughout the Gulf Coast, going into the Mid-Atlantic, although it's going to be a little more isolated there in terms of with some storms. Plus, there's going to be some scattered storms throughout central Great Plains, upper Mississippi Valley, parts of the Great Lakes region, and even the northern Rockies will get some storms. Saturday night, well, all I can say is that Saturday night is that there's going to be some showers and clouds and storms throughout the southeast, but there's plenty of it in Florida, and there's going to be some severe storms throughout the upper Mississippi Valley, a few clouds and showers in the southern plains, and few showers and storms throughout the Dakotas and the Colorado Rockies, few showers and storms in the desert Southwest. Sunday morning, more storms throughout the southeast, Gulf Coast. And I can see some severe storms will start to happen throughout the central part of the Great Plains, all the way to the Great Lakes region. Few cloud showers and storms throughout parts of the desert Southwest and the Great Basin. And I can see areas of moisture that's going to occur just offshore, but chances of development are quite low offshore. But right now it's too early to tell. That's going to happen on Sunday morning, but it's highly doubtful that the storm will be organized enough to form into a tropical storm and be given a name. But right now it's still up in the air. And finally, by Sunday night, a lot of storms throughout the South, Mississippi Valley, desert Southwest, Colorado Rockies. Alright, now I'm going to bring back the radar. Just play the radar for you guys while I transition to Minecraft. Funny thing is that I came here so late that not only I did not have time to set up for the green screen for myself, just so that I can show you guys, but also I forgot to open up Minecraft as well, so my apologies on both. But right now, just getting myself some water. But for those of you who are just here, welcome to the stream. My name is Marlon, and this is episode 58 of Mushroom City in Minecraft. Try the mushroom stew. Even, I don't know about that, even for me. Look, I'm not telling you guys to do that, but that's up to you guys. If you like it, great, but if you don't worry about it. Even I wouldn't go that far. In the previous episode, we just got started on Northwest 5th Avenue, and right now we need to finish this up. And for those of you who are hoping that I get behind the green screen, I am sorry. Because of the fact that I finished a few minutes late, I would postpone that until either tomorrow or Saturday. but but the last time will not be the last time. I still am. I just need to practice more with the green screen live. So, in other words, it's like I've already set up part of my future as my backup plan. If I don't get into TV, like as a broadcast meteorologist, this is my backup plan. So, just because one route of your dream has been blocked for you, doesn't really mean that that should be the only way to make your dreams a reality. There are other ways. And no one says that you have to follow this route. It just means that you just gotta create your own route. Hold on a minute, I think I can hear background music. Alright, I'm back. So, how are you guys doing? Was your day great? Or you wish you had better days ahead? For me, hold on a minute. For me, all I can say is, folks, is that I'm just tired. But I am looking forward to the weekend. Though my plans are still up in the air, but we'll see. But the one thing I can say, folks, is that if there really is something that that's going to prevent me from streaming on Saturday, I do deeply apologize for that because in advance, because I just realized that there could be something that could happen on Saturday in terms of me. But right now, I mean, I'm not really gonna reveal it. It's something I gotta do if that's gonna happen. But right now, this plan of mine is still up in the air. If I'm not able to stream at 6 to 8 p.m. on Saturday, I deeply apologize in advance for breaking my word on that. But if I do stream for you guys, well, let's just say I would have more time to end up go behind the green screen. Maybe my stream will extend past 8:15 and just past 8:30. But time will tell. But the one thing's for sure, on Sunday I'll definitely stream for you guys 6 to 8 p.m. Hopefully behind the green screen, just as long as nothing bad happens on my end. Well, I finished my water, folks. Believe it or not. Oh, yeah, I just dropped my water bottle. But I just finished it, so no biggie on that one. So today is Thursday, August 2nd. Sorry. Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Oh yeah, and just so you know, guys, as a meteorologist, I do remember 20 years ago, on the 29th that Hurricane Katrina made landfall in New Orleans and the surrounding areas, which had led to up to 3,000 lives lost. Some of them were caused by storms during the storm, others after the storm. Mostly from a humanitarian crisis that has happened in disaster-stricken areas of the Gulf. Now, I think I remember that it was on August 23rd that the storm formed just over the Bahamas, and then crossed into South Florida, made land in North Miami Beach as a Category 1 hurricane, killed a few people in South Florida. Then, once it entered the Gulf, it went through a process known as rapid intensification. And the process of that requires the storm to go over very abnormally warm waters, where, like the Gulf of Mexico, it was super warm that it was like being in a steam bath, or rather in a bathtub full of hot water. Oh, wait. And then, as a result, with lack of winds aloft, plenty of very, very warm waters. Look at that. We're in downtown Mushroom Kingdom City. We're in the downtown part of Mushroom City. All of that has led to Katrina to blow up from, let's say, a Category 3 hurricane to a Category 5 within the course of 24 hours. And its target would be the central part of the Gulf Coast, which meant that the folks in New Orleans and the surrounding areas would be affected. Though evacuations have been ordered, but although they only happened at the last moment. Because this storm was not the storm was somewhat predicted, not well predicted. I mean, at the time, the cone of uncertainty was wide in contrast to today, 20 years later. But then, once the morning of Monday, August 29, 2005 arrived, landfall, the assault had begun. Then the city of New Orleans was hit over and over, although it was not a Category 5 hurricane that made landfall on the southeast Louisiana coastline. That's only because that's because the storm had slightly weakened, but it was still strong enough for the storm to cause so much damage in the Big Easy. And the worst part of the storm wasn't really the winds that are coming from the south. It was actually coming from the north. And the water that flooded the city didn't really come from the ocean. It didn't come from the Gulf. It came from Lake Pontchartrain. And because of the winds that came from the north, that pushed the water further inland, and thus the levee system at that time was so bad that it was compromised. It was all because of lack of funding at the time. Now, of course, the city had dealt with hurricanes in the past for decades or for centuries since the city was built right along the Mississippi, and that the city was 8 feet below sea level. And that the whole reason why the city was still there, it's because of the levee system. And at the time, it needed upgrades. But unfortunately, not enough funding was there. So they were screwed as a result. The whole place was flooded. Then neighborhoods throughout the Big Easy and in the city were flooded. Not because of the excessive amount of rainfall, but because of the hurricane winds that didn't really come from the Gulf. It actually came from Lake Pontchartrain. And the eye of the storm wasn't really in New Orleans. It was located on the far eastern end of the state, right near Mississippi. And that not only New Orleans was affected, but as well as Mississippi and parts of Alabama, too. That their coastlines were nearly destroyed. And the issue with that is that the storm surge pushed like a few more miles inland than other places because the way that the Mississippi coastline was shaped, it was so flat that even once you go way into the Gulf, you're still on the shallow end. Yet the water the water didn't really creep up to your knees once you go a couple feet into the Gulf. Like, wow, that was bad. That was so bad that that was the reason why the storm surge reached miles inland. But once the storm passed, just later in the afternoon of August 29th, the damage has been done throughout throughout the central Gulf Coast. But the ordeal was far from over, unfortunately. Particularly in New Orleans. The levees kept on failing, one after another. The levees kept breaking. Even after the storm had passed, the flooding didn't. The winds had stopped howling, but the spillage from Lake Pontchartrain and the levee system didn't. It kept pouring into neighborhoods to a point where a lot of people were clinging onto rooftops all over the city and the surrounding areas. But folks in areas like the Superdome, well, They were trapped. And even though the storm had passed, and that's we had a lot of humanitarian issues, crises that followed. The politics got involved. And then a lot of people started dying. And then the heat started building up throughout the hurricane-ravaged areas of the Gulf. Then, just days after the storm, people started moving out of the Superdome and many other areas of refuge that trapped folks for days following the storm. Death toll was barely 3,000 people, just as almost as much as 9/11. Those were awful days. Those were the worst days of the decade. 9/11 and the Katrina. And also as much as those who have died during the attack on Pearl Harbor. But of course, some lessons were learned, but others still have yet to learn. Even to this day. Meteorology is an indirect science. We do our best to perfect it as much as we can. Every day we try to perfect with better computers, models that we try to make it as precise and accurate as possible. But even that is never enough. Sometimes latent heating can get involved. Because latent heat is some type of heat that weather instruments can't even detect. You know, that could be the weather topic of the day, folks. That could be. That is something us meteorologists have to take into account. You know, some things, most of the time, temperatures can be detected by weather instruments, but other times, it's not. Latent heat comes into play, and weather instruments fail to detect latent heat. Sometimes it can come from us, human beings, depending on our bodies. And sometimes that tends to lead to feels-like temperatures. Maybe that could be the weather topic of the day. Hold on a minute. Never mind. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Welcome to the stream. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Marlon. This is episode 58 of Mushroom City in Minecraft. I am still now in Northeast 5th Avenue, and we're going to get to, we're not going to get to, maybe we'll get to X-Axis Avenue, but that part will be quick, much quicker than the usual avenues that I'm doing right now, so it's only just streets. That was a lot of talking on my part about Katrina. But yeah, as I said, some lessons were learned from Katrina, others are susceptible to being repeated, sadly, in the near future or in the distant future if there are no lessons. There are no remaining lessons to be learned intentionally, depending on some reason. Either it's politics or pretty much, finance, whatever. But it is up to us to learn those lessons. But unfortunately, some people would rather do something else rather than learn that lesson or any of it and just let it happen again. And thus we would end up with another Katrina. Oh boy, I am tired. But streaming, I do not intend to quit. Because it does give me a license to speak sometimes what's on my mind. And I could talk about weather, I could talk about gaming, anime, whatever. But as long as it's nothing too controversial or any controversies that are happening based on current events at this moment, at moments like this. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think, folks. In my opinion, guys, if I were to go to New Orleans, I would rather go during the winter months. I mean, of course, sometime, rarely there would be snow there. On rare occasions, there would be snow in New Orleans, but on average, New Orleans tends to get temperatures that are in the 50s, at least for the low. The average low for the highs, meaning like during the daytime, it could be as low as 50 degrees on average. But sometimes it can get really warm to as much as about 80 degrees during the winter months, but that's only rare as well. Not always an everyday thing during the winter in New Orleans. I mean, you have less mosquitoes in the Big Easy than during the summer months. I mean, the mosquitoes over there, they are very aggressive. Hold on a minute. Never mind. I mean, every time when I go to Florida, oh man, looks like I've overdone it. Yeah, the weird part is that whenever I do talk, Yeah, whenever I do talk a lot about weather during my childhood or even my adolescence, I tend to talk over and over, yap about like the weather events during the 2000s, even from the 90s, because those are the type of storms that formed that actually built my interests in meteorology. So I watch a lot of Weather Channel back in those days. I pay attention to what hurricane experts have been talking about, presenting so much detail about the storms and how they're forming, the process of what they're going through. Like rapid intensification. That's like another way of saying bombogenesis, but well, it's actually more of a nomenclature. Hold on a minute, folks. I just need to repeat this process. Rapid intensification is a bit more of like a nomenclature, an inside nomenclature of meteorology, meaning it's almost like bombogenesis, but for tropical weather. I mean, bombogenesis is actually used for rapid intensification. It's like another way of saying rapid intensification for winter storms or even mid-latitude cyclones, like the ones here in New York and elsewhere throughout. Right around between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Well, actually, in areas like between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle, and the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle. Not in the tropics, and definitely not in the polar regions of the world. And I also have a small dream that I would like to be an international meteorologist, meaning that I'd be an American meteorologist who would forecast throughout much of the world. Say, hey, it's going to be sunny all across Australia, or there's chances of thunderstorms in the Bavarian Mountains in Germany during the summer months. Or that there are hurricane warnings throughout the east coast of Japan. More background music, folks. That's fun, right? Whew. But right now, folks, in the southern hemisphere, it is their winter time. They're going through, let's see, places like, I would need to check the weather in the southern hemisphere, in places like Rio de Janeiro, where their weather is similar to Miami. Or in Argentina, their weather is almost similar to, let's say California, but with a tad more moisture to it. Or in Australia, or rather in places like Lesotho in Africa, right in the middle of in the southern part of Africa. It's quite different from South Africa, because South Africa is a country. Lesotho would have a lot of snow, a lot of winter weather up there in the southern part of Africa, in the continent. Hold on a minute, let me mute the mic. go here, right? Actually, I would prefer. Nah, you know what? I think it'd be a lot better if I were to stay here. Okay, the weather topic of the day is what is the difference between temperature and heat index? Actual temperature only reflects the measured air temperature, whereas the heat index, also known as the apparent temperature, is a measure of how hot it feels to the human body when the effects of temperature and humidity are combined. Hold on a minute. Sorry about that, folks. Background music for real. The difference between the temperature and heat index is that actual temperature only reflects the measured air temperature, whereas the heat index, also known as the apparent temperature, is a measure of how hot it feels to the human body when the effects of temperature and humidity are combined. Temperature is the actual measurement of how hot or cold the air is, whereas a heat index is an estimate of how hot it feels, taking into account both the air temperature and the humidity. High humidity makes it harder for the body to cool itself through sweating, so it feels hotter than the actual temperature. Therefore, if the temperature is 90 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity is high, the heat index might be 100 degrees Fahrenheit or even higher, because the human body would feel like it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit due to the humidity. Alright, folks, I've done what I could. Now, maybe I'll get behind the green screen maybe tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday. Just depends if I have plans on Saturday, alright? Alright, do take care of yourselves and each other. Stay safe out there no matter the weather, temperature, or whatever. Hope you guys have a good day or good night. And do hit me with a follow and turn on the notifications just so that you guys will know when I'll be streaming the next time, whether if it's going to be 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow or 6 to 7 p.m. Tomorrow or whatever. But it'll help you know when I'll be streaming the next time. But the one thing I can tell you tomorrow is that it'll be broken into 2 streams. The first one will be about the weather from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the second will be only me playing Minecraft from 10 to 11 p.m. or maybe a little later for me to end. Alright? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. But until then, peace out, everybody. Love you all. Signing out.